I would love to get your thoughts on the female characters in this film, because obviously in this genre it's typically dominated by men and by, you know, strong male characters who fight and they're dominant and they fix stuff while the women just kind of look pretty and they're passive. But this definitely felt like a departure. Did that feel like, is that how it felt for you?
Yeah, and even from the screen test, when I came in, Chris McQuarrie had seen me in a play 10 years ago in the West End and said, I want what you do, I want to work with it, I just don't know what the character is. And cut to 6 years later, he brings me in for the screen test for Mission Impossible with Tom, and they both said explicitly, while I was there, they don't have a character in mind. They're looking for the actor they want to work with, and they will then collaborate and we'll create the character together as we go along. So you immediately, as an actor, coming in with a hell of a lot more agency than you normally would.
Yeah.
Because it means that any ideas that I bring to the table, if they work, and by work, we mean, does this serve the audience within this genre? Does this give a fresh perspective? Is this something that Tom and McHugh kind of feel like it makes them want to lean forward? If so, then we explore that line further. And I found that really liberating as an actor. And there was also a sense that you can't get it wrong. There are no mistakes and there's no judgment on it. It's just choices. And choices will be determined as we go along based on also all the other kind of moving puzzle pieces of a Mission Impossible film. And I felt that there was, for me, I was adamant that I was going to elevate her into not being one thing. No person on the planet is ever one thing.
Right.
We are full of contradictions and capabilities, and at times she's going to be totally self-assured and other times full of self-doubt. That she is going to feel totally in control and then entirely overwhelmed. And that also creates quite a frenetic energy of hypervigilance where she's kind of working it out as she goes along, which also felt very alive. And then I was like, if that's the thing that they feel is most interesting on camera, I then would backtrack and go, well, what is the psychological profile of someone like that? If she is hypervigilant, ducking and diving, always trying to escape, do her own thing, this kind of so-called like strong, independent woman, we as human beings are wired for connection and a sense of belonging. So for someone to not trust anyone suggests there was time, or several times in her life, where she made up that trusting people was dangerous and it was better for her own survival to totally go it alone. And therein lies her wound as well, because the thing that we need is the thing that we fear. And that's, you know, for her, connection. And so for me, that gave her the emotional plausibility. And then when we improvised this moment where in the moment when Ethan asks if she's okay, allowed her to actually feel what it's actually like for someone who's never really been allowed herself to be taken care of, to in that moment actually feel that someone does care for her. And that becomes an emotional release for her. It doesn't make her weaker in any way or less interesting. It makes her more complex.
Totally, and I really caught that complexity, and I thought that was really compelling to have that complexity and moral ambiguity as well, which is important, I think, especially in a female character. We don't really get to see it that much, especially in this genre. So I really enjoyed that. What advice would you give to young girls who are aspiring to become actors?
If you ask yourself, alone at night, do I have to do this? Is this what I absolutely have to do, regardless of what it asks of me? Then if the answer is yes, then you are committing and dedicating your life to pursue a creative life at all costs. And if the answer is, you know what, I don't want it if that's what it involves, then do something else. But if you go, despite that, there's still something in me that says I must do this, then you know that you are built for a creative life. But I think the other thing is to trust yourself, that our intuition and our instincts are there for our own survival. And young people particularly have to harness their own intuition and their own instinct. So regardless of what you feel the world is telling you about yourself, that you check in with that system and you go, is this right? Is this my truth? Is this real?